Good morning. Some people had requested a video for our church biscuits, so I'm gonna oblige and just run you through how I throw these together. I don't really measure, so I'll kind of tell you approximates in this, but the blog post I did a while back does give some specific measurements if you need those. So here we go. You start with self-rising flour. I typically use sunflower. Kroger did not have sunflower, so the texture of these biscuits may be a little different this time. Sunflower is just my favorite. And I use about 2 cups, a little bit more. Let's do 3. I got a lot of kids well, not a lot of kids, just hungry kids to feed. All right, then I stick of unsalted butter, and I'm going to use a box grater and grate about half a stick of butter into the flour. Then, well, I'll start off with a spoon. And that blended pretty well, so I don't have to put my hand in it yet. But then I use a little shortening, and the kind I use is non-hydrogenated. It's just, you can get it anywhere now. And I do about, the idea is like 3 to 4 tablespoons, because basically a half a cup of fat to this, so we used half a cup of butter. I mean, half a stick of butter, basically half a stick of shortening. So, 1. And that looks, I'll know when I feel it, if it looks right or not, but I think it is. And then you have to get a hand dirty and mush, just kind of grab the dough, and you're just trying to incorporate the fat into the flour. Grab and twist. You don't have to work it a whole lot. But okay, looks about right. You just want a good amount of some sort of fat incorporated all through your flour. You could always use, regular flour and put salt and a leavening, but for some reason, sunflower self-rising has just the exact ratios for my palate. I don't know if I grew up on that or what. All right. Okay, so all of the butter and shortening is incorporated into the flour, and we're gonna add buttermilk, just whole fat buttermilk. I don't really know how much I put. It's at least a cup, probably is a cup. I just have to feel it, and I don't want it crazy wet, but it can't be dry either. So that's a shade under a cup that I just poured in. You scoop. This is where you start getting a little gentle. You just don't want to develop all the gluten like a bread. You want to let it stay fluffy. A little more. This container holds about 2 cups, so we'll see how much of it I use. I may have lied. I may use 2 cups of buttermilk. Scoop from the bottom, kind of fold it in, really. This is looking really dry today. I think it's this different flour. so entertaining to watch somebody else stir, but. All right, that looks about right to me. So you see it's very wet, but it's not like drippy. Can you kind of tell that? All right, next step is to pat them out and cut them. See, it's really quick. They take no time. So what I do, just because I don't like to pull out my mat and have to clean it and all that, I just get a couple paper towels and flour them down, because I can throw this away instead of having to deal with that thing. And you just put the dough out. And this is where technique comes in hand. Southern Living showed this several years ago, and it just works, so that's what I do now. At this point, we just need to get the surface a little bit dry so you can work with it. Okay, so pat it, just pat it a little bit the first go. And then what we're gonna do is fold it, kind of like pastry is folded to make puff pastry, obviously not quite as delicate, but you just take a third of your dough, fold it to the center. Other side, fold it. It's supposed to be like an envelope technique. And you kind of pat it down just a little bit. And you come from the other side, do the same thing. Pat it. See, this side just needs a little flour to work with. You don't want to you don't want too much in it, but you got to make it workable. And see, as we're doing this, we're getting it to be a shape where we can cut it to. So that was 2 turns. We'll do 1, 3, 4. I guess I'm gonna flip it just to kind of smooth it. I'm gonna do 2 more, and then we'll cut them out. My oven just told me it's ready, so that's how I know it's time to quit folding. 1, 2. Now I've got a very smooth dough with a lot of folds in it, which will help create some flaky layers. Now just pat out with my fingertips. And this is all dependent on how you like your biscuits. If you like them thin and crispy, you pat them out thinner. If you like to see that glorious with all the layers, then you leave it about 1 inch. So that's what I'm gonna do today. It looks pretty good. All right, then I use biscuit cutters, and I go back and forth between sizes every single time I make them. Ashley, what do you want today? The big one? Okay. So we won't get as many biscuits, but they'll be nice and big. So I use my cast iron griddle to cook my biscuits on because it's so thick and it's a good flat big surface. Use a cast iron skillet if you've got one. If you don't, just a real heavy bottomed something, because you don't want the bottoms to burn. And I'm going to put these in a 450-degree oven. And they take about 10 minutes to cook. You do not want to overcook them, but they'll be slightly lightly browned on top. And I'm just going to keep rolling the dough out, folding up the dough, finishing cutting them up and putting them on the pan. I'll stick them in the oven, and that's it. So this is what the biscuits should look like out of the oven. Lightly brown, they puff up a lot. And that's it. They're really not that hard to do, but I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. I wish I could see my friends' faces instead of send a video tutorial about biscuits, but we do what we can right now, huh? Much love. Hope to see everybody later.